that is the first Spanish Latin American media that you have an interview.
Yes, that's correct. Colombia, in particular, is an interesting country for us. We have had a long history of exposing information about the FARC and the ORC and Colombian government involvement with those two issues. But Colombia is not just about Colombia. It's not just about Latin America. It's also about the relationship between the United States and Latin America. Colombia is the country in which the US is pumping through more money in the past few years than any other country in Latin America. The US approach to Colombia should not be seen as, in fact, a US approach. What it's about is that there are several powerful companies and lobbies in Washington, such as Lockheed Martin, SAIC, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, military and intelligence contractors, who lobby Congress and their contacts within the Pentagon and the CIA to engage in special programs in Colombia with provisos written to make sure that the money actually cycles back to them in the United States. So it's about transferring money from the US tax base, i.e. predominantly from middle-class people, back to company shareholders and senior executives, people who are already rich. For example, by appearing to give the Colombian government aid to buy helicopters, but then attaching provisos that the helicopters must be of a particular type that only a US weapons manufacturer can provide. That's what's really going on in Colombia as far as military subsidy and what the United States calls the war on drugs is concerned. Now, of course, there are real and difficult and legitimate issues in Colombia which are used to legitimize that. Difficult issues with the FARC, difficult issues to do with drug smuggling, difficult issues to do with Colombian and Venezuelan relations, which are real, but are nonetheless seized on and inflated by these other groups for their own purposes. And that is having a destabilizing effect on democratic society in Colombia. And that is a problem. And these cables will reveal some of that activity and also some of the broader regional activity and interaction between Colombia and Venezuela and the influence of Cuba and so on. WikiLeaks is an anti-abuse of government secrecy organisation. So it is our view, and I have pushed the philosophy, that there are certain types of information that are most likely to achieve a just world if they are released. These are not random things you find on the internet. They are not what is in encyclopedias. Rather, some organizations spend economic work. They try extra hard to keep information secret. And why do they do that? Generally, not always, but generally it is because the organization that knows that information best, the organization that wrote it or collected it, is of the view that if the public discovers it, then the public will create a force that will reform the organization. And they don't want to be reformed. And it turned out over time that the United States government is creating more secrets than any other government in the world. And that is for two reasons. First of all, because of the size of the United States economy. It's a big country, and it's a rich country. So it's heavily computerized, and it can create information very quickly. And it has an enormous spy apparatus. The other is the size of its military and intelligence sector is between 40 and 50%, depending on how you measure these things, of GDP is connected to it. So that's a very large chunk of world economic activity bound up with secrecy. The United States correlates to approximately 1/5 of all economic activity in the world, and about 1/2 of the economic activity of the United States is in some way related to secrecy.